Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hey, hello there. Gosh. Okay, I'm in an odd mood. I'm a little revved up and disoriented and unfocused and gunning for bear. I don't know. How you guys? I've been talking to myself the last 12 hours, 16 hours, telling myself to try to back away a little bit from my Trump fixation, that it's not good for my health. I know it's not good for my health. But then again, his increased ascension in our country is not good for my health either. None of it is. So forgive me if you are not as obsessed as I, but I do want to talk a little bit about him, since we didn't have an opportunity to talk since his rather dominating showing on Tuesday's election. Have they even called Missouri yet for Trump or Cruz? It doesn't matter. If you want to talk about the Supreme Court nominee, we'll get to that. But I'm still, as I said, sort of single-mindedly focused ad nauseum. I hope you don't think that, on Donald Trump. So yesterday, he says, so say we're 20 votes short, or we're, 100 short, and we're talking about showing up in Cleveland, and we're 1,100 and some 1,100, and we're at 1,100, and somebody else is at 500 or 400, because we're way ahead of everybody. I don't think you can say we don't get it, the nomination, automatically. I think you'd have riots. He is amazing. He tells his followers what is expected. I'd punch him in the nose. I'll pay your legal bills. Blah, blah, blah. I think there'd be riots. He's saying there'll be riots if he doesn't get the nomination, even if he doesn't have the required number of delegates going in. Well, sorry. Nobody knows how this is going to play out. The odds look like he will get the nomination. I mean, certainly, if you were betting on somebody, you'd bet he's going to get it. Unless these geniuses who run the Republican Party, who got themselves into this friggin' mess, can finally pull a rabbit out of a hat. But it's been pointed out that if Donald Trump can't win a majority of Republicans, the odds are he can't win a majority of Americans. And here's an interesting piece of information that I had not seen before. So we've had all these primaries so far. Democrats and Republicans have gone to the polls. We've been told a million times that Republicans are showing up much more than Democrats. And yet, at this point in this primary season, Donald Trump has received, here are the number of votes he has actually received from American voters: 7,533,692. 7,500,000 plus Americans have already said Trump. On the Democratic side, how many votes has Hillary Clinton gotten from Americans? 8,646,551. Over 1 million more people have voted for her than have voted for him, despite absolutely not as great turnout of Democratic voters as Republicans. Now, granted, the Republican vote has been split many times over, divided by all the candidates, whereas the Democrats were just choosing between two, which could account for the fact that she's received more votes thus far. But this guy's amazing. I mean, we're told that now he's going to try to unify the party, and he says, yeah, we got to come together. He's been told by many people, tone it down. The establishment's talking to him now and saying, tone it down, and he's trying to tone it down. And then he says there'll be riots if I don't get even though I don't have the required number. There'll be riots. And I think it was yesterday he was asked, so who do you listen to? Who are you consulting with on foreign affairs issues? Because, as we know, he's a little spare on his policies as it regards our interactions with other nations of the world. And also, we don't know who he's getting advice from. His answer to that, who does he get foreign policy advice from? Do you know what he actually said? I'm speaking with myself, number one. Because I have a very good brain. And I've said a lot of things. What? I'm talking to myself because I have a very good brain, and I've said a lot of things. What the hell? To follow, I have a very good brain, and I've said a lot of things. Right there, you've got your mind explodes. If you have a very good brain, I don't think you then would have followed that with, and I've said a lot of things. What the hell does that mean? Okay. So, it's been interesting reading articles about Jewish Republicans and how they're responding to this. And to say they're getting queasy is a bit of an understatement. Seriously queasy. For different reasons. But I do read the Jewish media. And here is something I read that I want to pass on to you, because I do think that in some respects, when it comes to somebody doing what Trump is now doing, quite openly, setting off the kind of ugliness and undercurrent of fear and intimidation that Trump is doing. I think it would be wise to listen to people who've seen that kind of thing before. Don't you? But listen to this quote. I'm very worried about what he says, but I'm much more worried by how it's received. The fact that he has been able to attract these huge numbers of people so full of hate, I don't think I've ever encountered anything quite like this. Caller?
Yes, how you doing?
I'm okay.
Hey, the first thing I wanted to say is, what the hell difference does it if he does ask advisors? They've done so well for us in the past. I mean, they're a bunch of dipshits anyway. So what the hell does it matter? Now, Trump's an idiot, and he's not going to win. But, I mean, our military advisors aren't worth a shit anyway.
See, but no, come on.
They really aren't.
I mean, come on. These kind of your broad brush condemnation as if nobody has anything to offer, nobody has expertise on foreign policy or this or that.
Why
I mean, this is the kind of know-nothingism and anti-intellectualism that has gotten Trump where he is.
Oh, he's an idiot. But our military advisors...
They're all idiots?
I'd say most of them are. There's a few of them I like, but they have not done us well. They've got us in such a situation that's ridiculous. And to say that I would rely on them, all they want to do is fight wars. I'm sorry.
But that's not necessarily true. You know, you think of, God, why am I blanking on his name? Powell. Why am I blanking on Powell's first name? Huh? Cullen. Colin Powell. Think of him. He was a general, right? He didn't like fighting wars. And he was always cautioning. Lots of times, people who know war, they're the ones who don't want to fight the wars. It's the people who've never fought a war who love throwing the parades and the confetti and sending other people off to die.
Anyone I like, and he's way back, is Stanley Butler, who said, "Be aware of the military complex," and he was right, because they're taking us over, they're ruining us, because they're gonna feed the war thing most of the time. I agree, there might be a few of them. Most of them aren't worth a damn because all they want to do is fight.
You see, but your kind of blanket cynicism and condemnation is exactly what Trump is depending on. That people will say, yeah, those experts, those people who know, the establishment, they don't know anything. This guy says he can do it. Let's go with him.
But I look at their record.
I understand.
What they've done, I look at their record, and it's not proven.
Well, look, I can't sit here and defend each and every member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff or national security people, but I'm sure some of them know a great deal and are worth listening to. I heard, what's his name, Michael Hayden, who used to head the CIA and also headed the NSA. And this guy, whether you agree with him or not, is one smart cookie who understands how things work. You need somebody like that if you're dealing in the world.
Well, yeah, okay.
Okay.
But just like now, there's a general coming out and saying how China and Russia, we're not prepared to fight them.
Oh, this is just bullshit. We've got the greatest, biggest military of any military, and that these people, but that's the industrial establishment speaking up.
They want to get more money.
Yeah, they need more. I mean,
it's
never enough.
So much money, and then you're going to tell us we're not ready? Come on.
Yeah, no, that's bullshit.
I'm not buying any of it.
Okay.
But
you've got, for instance, Admiral Joe Sestak running for the Senate. He was he's the highest decorated, the biggest honcho in the military to ever serve in the Congress, I believe. And boy, I mean, he's not a saber rattler. He's not with these guys. So
I guess I'm pointing to the people that got us in Iraq and Vietnam. Just the list goes on and on. It's just them people, I guess I'm talking
okay,
about.
all right,
Maybe that's what I'm saying.
okay,
Okay then.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. So, before we took the call, I shared a quote with you about somebody who was freaked out, not so much by Trump, but by the fact that he was finding such a willing audience in this country. The people were rallying to him, that they were loving what he was saying, that they were, and the last part of the quote was the fact that he's been able to attract these huge numbers of people so full of hate. I don't think I've ever encountered anything quite like this. Now, what makes that statement so amazing is that the guy who uttered it lost his entire family in the Holocaust and himself survived the Holocaust because his parents, before they died, managed to smuggle him into Holland into the care of a Muslim woman who risked her life throughout the war to save this little boy, Alfred Munzer. And now Alfred Munzer, age 74, is a volunteer at the United States Holocaust Museum, and he was asked what he thought of Trump. And for him to say, now granted he was a baby, but for him to say, I don't think I've ever encountered anything quite like this, is amazing. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike from D.C.
Hi, Mike.
So when we were learning about the Holocaust in school, I remember coming home and saying to my mom, but I don't understand, why did people just do nothing?
Yeah, right.
And I kind of can feel
See
like
it now.
a good German now.
Yeah, you can start to feel it, can't you?
What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Right. Well, you can start to feel it. Like, first, they can't, I mean, if you were doing it here, first they he's culling people from the herd, telling people these are not us. So he's culling immigrants, right? Bang. So first he went after the immigrants. What did I do? I didn't know nothing. Then he went for the blacks. And what did I do? I didn't do anything. Then he went for the union workers. Yeah. Then he went for the Jews. Then he went, and I don't do anything because I wasn't one and whatever. I just sat and shook my head and wondered what was going on. Right.
But
This
what are we
is how
supposed to do against Trump?
well
We as the good Germans.
I know. So here's
What are we supposed to do?
I don't know. So what's interesting is, so look at the protesters who shut him down in Chicago. You would think they took action, but in fact their action, I think, played right into his hands, which makes your question even more difficult to answer. They stood up against him, but he turned it around. And it only emboldened him and emboldened his followers. It's very hard to take on a guy like this, but you gotta be smart as hell. And what you obviously have to do is organize like hell, be strategic. Who's gonna be our only hope of beating him is what? Hillary Clinton. That's the only hope. That's the firewall. Isn't it?
I guess. But
It
people
is,
are gonna
and I don't
use
care-
her as people are going to use her and say she's divisive.
Fine.
And they're going to marginalize
She's divisive,
her,
and
then we're going to get Hitler.
Yeah, that's right. And he's a friggin' fascist. I'm sorry, he is. I'm sorry. If you don't know what a fascist is, that's a fascist. And we're looking at a fascistic American uprising here.
And
Now,
can you
the
imagine
people-
if the black president did this? If the black president said all this and he had angry mobs, the black guys.
But it's the black president they're reacting to.
They don't see it that way.
Well, I don't care if they don't see it. Historians will see it this way.
I agree with you.
We elected a black president, and all kinds of things were changing, too. And in those 8 years, not only was there an uppity, smart-ass, cool, aloof, looking down his nose at us black jerk with a middle name Hussein in the White House, but now gays can marry, and these people feel like they're losing everything. I understand them. I understand that. But they don't understand how they are being yet again played. Not by the establishment this time, by this power-hungry, needy, bully boy narcissist, Donald Trump. Who's promising them.
And how do you beat a bully? That's the question. And I asked a friend of mine, how do you beat a bully?
Well, you do stand up to him, but I don't know. This is interesting to see, because now you see how, a lot of Germans stood around and said, oh, well, this isn't. I mean, they were in denial. They were, oh, this isn't, it'll blow over, whatever. You can see. You, as a country and as a people, you gotta stand up early and stop it, which is why every day I scour the papers and look at who's thrown in with Trump. I see the governor of Florida, big shocker, Rick Scott, has said Trump. He's now gone over to Trump. And more people. You got to take the measure of people. And I don't know.
I'm surprised more people haven't jumped on his bandwagon. More Republican elite or representatives haven't jumped on his bandwagon.
Well, those are the weak-kneed. Those are people who are always, wetting their fingers and sticking it up. They just want to make sure they're on the right side or the wrong side, and they ain't sure. I suspect. I think there are more profiles and cowardice going on right now among political leadership, which is why I really loved the president the other day calling out, what was that, a St. Patrick's Day lunch or something at Congress. He actually flat out said, when someone is out there doing what this guy's doing, and where are the leaders standing up and speaking out against? You gotta have immediate pushback. I don't know. It's not easy, because what he's harnessing, this energy he's harnessing, is real. It's real. There's that. I mean, the Republicans have spent a long time dumbing down their base, feeding them a whole different reality. Thank you, Roger Ailes and Fox News. They have a list of demons and boogeymen a mile long. All of this crap has been swallowed. How you're not to trust anybody or any institution. And so here comes Donald Trump. He ain't an institution. He doesn't belong to anything. He's an upstart. He's their guy. The Republicans so brought this on all of us. And more than anything, it's Republicans who need to own it. And Republicans.
Are you at all encouraged by the numbers? In the Daily News, there was an article about the numbers aren't with Trump, and that he would have to get 70% of all the white male vote in order to win, and Romney only got 56.
Mm-hmm.
Are you at all encouraged?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm encouraged because the first thing we have to do is we have to deprive him of the power he wants. We also have to deal somehow with these enraged, disaffected Americans. I mean, the inequality thing is a big issue. I would say
that was really their issue, though, and not race or not xenophobia. They would vote for Bernie. I think it's that xenophobia is their real issue.
Yeah,
masked in racism.
Yeah, right. I agree. I mean, all you have to do is look at who loves them, and these are people who are fearful of the other. of blacks, of immigrants, of all of whom they think are taking their position, taking their jobs, taking their place. I don't know. It's a reality that has to be dealt with. But anyone who doesn't think that what we are watching is an extremely dangerous development in American history is whistling past the graveyard.
Doesn't know history. I mean, all you have to do is look back and say, what other world leader came to power by, exciting the rioting portion against another minority, against the minority.
Yeah. So.
And that argument never stood with me either. If they're a minority, what are you afraid? You're the majority.
Not
right?
for long. Well, see, they're also aware that they aren't for long. And I don't know. They look at their country and they see all these black people in positions of power, the damn attorney general, the president, this, that, all this stuff. And I think it makes them crazy. It makes them enraged, obviously. And Trump has just taken that and running with it. It's something.
Can we talk? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Can we talk a second about the generals at the Pentagon and in the government and what their role is?
Mm-hmm.
You can be a good or bad general, but if the president said, invade North Korea,
yeah, you do it.
You say, on what date would you like to invade?
That's
sir?
right. It's the president who makes the choice. Right. Exactly right. So
the thing that gets me about Trump is he says, yeah, I don't know anything, but I'm going to hire good people. Well, the problem with that is when he's in the Situation Room or the War Room, there are only good people in there. And they're all saying different things.
Mm-hmm.
One saying we need to invade North Korea, the other is saying we shouldn't. Another is saying we should because of this, another is saying we shouldn't because of this. And we mock Bush for saying he's the decider, but he's really the decider. And somebody has to make that hard call, and I can't believe people really want it to be Trump.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be able to manage this with hiring good people to make his decisions for him. The president makes these decisions, and the military will wait for him to decide.
But see, his supporters think, as Trump said, that he's got a very good brain and he says lots of things and he's got lots of money and his fortune is huge and his brain is huge. Look, his supporters tend to be not particularly well educated and they got a big beef and he's telling him he's going to make things right. So anyway.
How much do you think this is revenge on Trump's part for the president mocking him?
Well,
argument?
Okay. I mean, it's probably part of it, that the humiliation of that dinner in D.C. in 2011. It might have been the thing that really made him say, "I'm gonna get these sons of bitches. I'm gonna show them you don't mock Donald Trump." I mean, maybe it's definitely part of it. Because
I wonder if that's the same thing that the constituents are doing. They're going to cut off their nose to spite their face to make that black guy pay.
Yeah. Oh dear. Okay. Well, Mike.
Okay. Sorry to take you down the rabbit hole.
That's okay. Thank you. I think I was already there. Goodbye. Okay. So this Holocaust survivor guy says, I owe my life to a Muslim woman in Holland who risked her life to save me, a Jewish kid. Anyone who singles out any kind of community for hate, I find appalling. Let us understand that that's what Donald Trump is doing. so that Mexican immigrants are all rapists and murderers. I mean, there's no fact to his accusations. None. So another Holocaust survivor, a woman named, and they're dying off. We need to listen to these people who saw this before. Her name is Halina Yasharoff, and she was 7 years old in Poland when the war came, and it was only her mother, and by sheer guts and cunning, who managed to save her, get false papers, and they managed to get through the Holocaust by pretending to be Catholics. Okay, so they survived. And this woman who lived through all of that constant terror and horror says Trump wants to be a dictator. We've had dictators. We've had dictators. That can't be good. And then she shakes her head and she says, it seems unreal what's happening. So understand that Adolf Hitler was exploiting a people that had been humiliated. They had lost World War I. They had been crippled economically by the Depression. They were, this was a people brought low and ripe for the picking. There's no way that America and Americans can lay claim to being anywhere near as beset and besieged as the Germans in the 1920s. But we're good at feeling aggrieved, and our grievances are stoked constantly by media. So that we aspire not only for to be celebrated in this country, be a celebrity, but we aspire, it seems, to being victims, to be able to wear the mantle of somebody who's being victimized, and then to be enraged by it. The fact is, these Trump voters are being left behind in large part by forces going well beyond. These are global forces, capitalism, triumphant forces, technology, all this stuff that has nothing to do with any politician, really. And Donald Trump telling him he's going to make it better is insane. But they don't know that. So, and I don't think for a minute that everyone supporting Trump is a racist. I do not. Because I know some people. And I don't think they're racists. They are aggrieved. They're not particularly thinking things through. And if you look again back at Germany, okay, seriously, a lot of Hitler's supporters, a lot of them, did not approve of Hitler's anti-Semitism, did not approve of some of what he was spouting. But they said, but he's strong, and he's going to make us a great country again. It's what he promised them. So if that's the case, you overlook these things. I don't like the fact that he's singling out the Jews because I got a lot of Jewish friends. It's not their fault, whatever, blah, blah. But he says, and so you get in line. behind him. And you just sort of turn a blind eye to some of the things he's saying that you don't like. Just like, in fact, I will turn a blind eye to some of what Hillary Clinton has done to vote for her. We always do that. Nobody's ever everything you want, right? So we're good at disregarding certain things that make us uncomfortable. In the case, though, of Trump's spewing of hate and violence, this is not something anyone should overlook. So to hear these, to go to people who survived the Holocaust, and they're very old now, you ask them, and they can't believe what they're seeing. I've read many an interview. They have seen in their lives the very worst that one human being can do. They know that one man can do unthinkable damage, not just to a country, but to the world, and to millions upon millions upon millions of lives. These people who still live among us have seen a cultured, one of the most cultured societies in history choose to go down this dark road and to crumble beneath its own prejudices and fears. Ask a Holocaust survivor. They'll tell you that when things get bad or there's this kind of unrest, that demagogues love to pick out scapegoats. I mean, you pick out scapegoats. You tell them everything will be fine if we just get a handle, build a big wall, and let those rapists and murderers, all those brown people coming in, get them. And then, listen, when it comes to scapegoats, Jews, no, we're always in the mix. And I got to tell you, I sort of feel like if you're part of a people that know this, either through historic knowledge of, or because in your family you know you're related by blood to people who were just absolutely, I don't know how much stronger I can say that this man is something I really didn't think I would see. I always said, yes, it could happen here because we're human. But if you were to have told me that Donald Trump will be the guy, I would have said you're out of your mind. But here he is. Wow. Here's some emails. Griffin writes, I understand people having serious concerns about Hillary, but it's going to be a lot harder to defeat Trump if the left wing keeps hammering her like she's Dick Cheney in a pantsuit. Good line. And Lois writes, foreign policy, she's responding to that first caller, is more than just the military. Thank you. Although, growing up with, coming of age with W. Bush and all of this, you definitely get the sense that their sense of foreign policy is a hammer, is military, right? Diplomacy? What the hell's that? Foreign policy, Lois says, is more than just the military. How about foreign policy interaction dealings with all foreign heads of state, promoting peace, human rights, economic stability. Hillary is by far the most qualified candidate, period. Still, Trump might win in November. Might. I mean, see, everybody, we keep comforting him saying, well, he can't win. I don't know. How many times do you have to say he can't, and he does. Huh? I would take that seriously. I'm not going to say he can't. I might think it in the back of my head, but I'm not going to act like it. Taking this as a lethal, I'm not kidding you, lethal threat to this nation. Here is Chuck Lynn Pew research reported last week that 39% of Americans identify as independents. That's more than people who identify as Democrats. That's 32%, and Republicans, 23%. This is the highest percentage of independents in more than 75 years of polling. Those independents are the wild card. Right, and they will decide the election. Gallup last week reported that Trump's image among independents is the most negative of any of the Republican candidates, so there is hope. Earlier in the show, you reported total votes cast in the primary so far. Don't forget independents in most states have not had a chance to cast a vote. That's true. Yeah, my son's an independent, and he says, well, yeah, unless you have an open primary, independents have yet to be heard from. But I'll tell you, we had said earlier, how come we in Pennsylvania with this late primary we have never get a say? We will have somewhat of a say, especially on the Republican side, guys. And it would be wonderful if Pennsylvania would deny Donald Trump its electoral votes. I mean, not its electoral votes, its delegates. And I don't know what the polling shows here, but let us recall Western Pennsylvania being part of Appalachia. I don't think there's any doubt we are right now sitting in serious Trump territory. I don't know if Philly can save us. And it could be that if it's really tight, you will see Democrats. Can we still change? No, it's probably the way this state works. It's too late to change your party affiliation, like they were doing willy-nilly in Ohio. But I could see, if it's possible, Democrats changing to Republicans so that they can vote in the Republican primary and vote against Trump. Oh, boy. So, what else we got? There are 22 states left to vote. So, how about something a little easier? You know Eddie Izzard? Do you? I don't know that I've ever focused much on him. Eddie Izzard is anyone in the UK knows Eddie Izzard. He's an icon there. He's their probably most loved comedian and I don't know what, personality, celebrity. Eddie Izzard, ladies and gentlemen, and he's toured in this country. And as an actor, he's appeared in those Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12 or 13. Yeah, he has, in those George Clooney, Brad Pitt movies. He's been around. Eddie Izzard, look him up. He's 54 years old. And do you know what he's doing? Do you know what he's doing? He has committed himself to running 27 marathons in 27 days. And he's closing in on it. He has already run 23 marathons. Yes, we have a call. Hello, caller.
Hi, Lynn. It's Susie from Swiss Helm Park.
Hi.
You can still change your party affiliation in Pennsylvania up until March 28th or 26th, since our.
Okay, so that's
because
you've got
our-
9 days.
Yeah, up until a month before.
I wonder if we can do that online now.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so cool. If you want strategically, I don't know how many people would take advantage of this. If you wanted to help prevent Trump from getting his delegate total by becoming a Republican, so you can vote in the Republican primary and vote for Kasich, I guess would be the thing to do.
There are an awful lot of people who do that. There really are. I've been a judge of elections now for 5 years, and I've worked at the polls for.
So you've seen people switch back and forth and back and forth?
Oh, yeah.
So if I were to do
that.
Susie, if I were to do that, then I'm stuck for well, it doesn't matter in the general. So then how soon could I switch back?
You could switch back right after the election.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you don't have to keep it.
Well, do you think that's
if you can do it online, it's a lot easier than doing it, by mail or going down to the election bureau.
Do you know the online?
It's really, really busy, so it's just easier to do it online.
Do you know what the site is? I guess if you just Google Pennsylvania election registration or something.
That's probably easier to do that. I just don't know it offhand.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so that's good. So we have till the 27th. You said.
Until a month before. So
when's the election?
The election's the 26th.
Okay, so we have the 26th.
Yeah.
Well, that might be. I don't know. I mean, isn't that something you could do? I mean, Mike in D.C. was saying, "What can we do?" There's a little something you could do. Is because if you're a Democrat, you're in no position to deny Donald Trump the votes of the Republican Party here in Pennsylvania.
Not in this closed.
No, not in this kind of closed
state.
Primary state. So you can switch to be a Republican and go in and vote in the Republican primary, because the Democratic, even if you wanted to vote for Sanders just to make a statement, it's over. Okay, the Democrats, it's over, guys. So that there's not a contest going on there. There's a contest for the soul of America going on the Republican side. And
seriously.
Yeah, so you know what? I think I'm going to do that. I think I'll do that. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Thanks, Susie. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Man, won't they be freaked out if I walk into that school gymnasium and go over to the other side? That's something we can do. Spread the word. Seriously, spread the word. Let's do what we can do. The Trump votes in Western PA are going to be huge. Or huge, I should say. Let's do what we can to muck them up, to stop them. Got to figure out any way you can. Okay, so anyway, back to Eddie Izzard. Unfriggin' believable. He's 54 years old. He's going to run 27 marathons in 27 days. I think he's finishing up Sunday. All of this is to raise money for charities in South Africa and England. And it's in tribute to, memory of, and gratitude to Nelson Mandela, who Eddie Izzard had the joy of meeting. The number of marathons, 27, he gets that number because Mandela was in prison for 27 years. I guess he figured if Mandela could do 27 years, I can do 27 marathons. Now, he got a little behind schedule, so in order to finish this up, 27 and 27 days, he actually has to do 2 marathons this Sunday. He's never done anything like that before, but something tells me he will. So I don't know if you knew about Eddie Izzard or what you ever might have thought of him, but this is pretty damn extraordinary. Pretty damn extraordinary. He's quoted in the Wall Street Journal as saying, "I am a very tired person." He's not into speed. He says sometimes he stops for a while and talks to a dog or a cat by the side of the road. He said, "I do kind of holistic marathons. When I stop, I take photographs, I Twitter, I talk to the animals, the dogs, the cats, the people, and say, can you give to this? Can you give to this?" It's called sport relief. And they go, "I'm a cow. I can't do anything, mate." So he says, "I'm a determined twit." So Eddie Izzard raising money, 27 marathons in 27 days. What have you done in the last month? Jeez. God. Couldn't even do one. Okay. Here's something else you can do. What can we do? I wrote a check yesterday. It's easy to do. I wrote a check to Russ Feingold, who used to be a senator, and his seat was taken from him by the voters of the state of Wisconsin that he had represented, and given to a, of course, Tea Party businessman, Republican jerk. That guy now has to run. He's running. He's one of the Republicans that's up. He's one of a lot of the Republicans who are up are Republicans who've only done one term. We got Pat Toomey here. You got Rob Portman in Ohio. You've got Kirk in Illinois. You've got Johnson in Wisconsin. These guys are all vulnerable, and they've got to be knocked out. If they were knocked out, all those 4 that I just, get rid of them and put Democrats in their place right then. You don't have this bullshit that's going on with the Senate right now, refusing to even have a hearing for the president's Supreme Court nominee. You've got to take the Senate back. You have to stop Trump, and you have to take the Senate back. As soon as we know who the Democrat is running against Toomey, you get on board. I don't care if it's the one you wanted. You get on board. You work. You put up signs. You make calls. You get Toomey out. So let's stop with a hand-wringing and what do I do? Do everything you can this time. Democrats are notorious for sitting on their asses and not doing a thing. Bitching, moaning, and not doing a goddamn thing. While Republicans, they're working like mad. They're working the school board elections. They're working the legislature, which is why they own most of them now. Which is why they were able to jerry-rig the House of Representatives, which I don't know if we'll ever be able to pull that one back. Because Democrats don't play the game. We sit around with our fingers up our asses, wondering, well, when's the next election? We think there's an election every 4 years. And then you vote for the president. And we think that's somehow going to fix things. Government doesn't work that way. Bottom up, bottom up, bottom up. Okay. I want to say this about Bernie Sanders. Thank you. I want to say thank you, Bernie. Bernie Sanders has done such a wonderful thing. He has put on the table the kinds of policy that is normally not discussed. He has brought the elephant in the room into the room and introduced it to all of us. He has forced Hillary Clinton and the Democratic establishment to acknowledge that, like the Republican establishment, they have forgotten the people way too much. And they're too cozy with the big bankers and Wall Street and the corporate guys. 'Tis true. Bernie has pulled Hillary to the left. Bernie has put things in play that have not been in play. Bernie has made a huge difference, I think. And still is. And still will. He's educated a lot of people. And believe me, no one thought he could do what he's done. No one. But here's the thing. He talks about a revolution. And revolutions bubble up from the bottom, from the people, right? That's where revolutions come from the dispossessed, that's where they come from. They don't come from top down. They really don't. So a lot of Democrats listening to Bernie, agreeing with Bernie, seeing it as Bernie, are still saying, yeah, but even if we elect you, you can't make a revolution. Even as the president, you can't do it. You need much more of the people under you, buttressing you. You need state legislatures who are filled with people who agree with you. Believe me, our state legislatures are not. You need a whole bunch of political muscle going up the whole ladder. Bernie Sanders as president would be isolated beyond belief. He would make Barack Obama look like look like he is the most popular guy in the world in the House of Representatives or something. I mean, really. A lot of people who like what Bernie says acknowledge that even if we were to elect a progressive president, that doesn't get us anywhere. You need to do the spade work. That's what Democrats never do. You need to take over a damn school board before you think you're going to take over the country. You need to take back the legislature before you're going to take over the country. If all these kids who are so in love with this guy would, instead of pouting and taking their marbles and going home, were to stay in, run for school board, run for state legislature, get in. then you make a revolution. It's a long-term slog. Caller, hello. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hi.
I always call at the end of your show. So I'm trying to figure out this argument, not voting for Bernie because there are a lot of Republican legislatures. How is that not an argument for not voting for Hillary?
How is that an argument for not voting for Hillary?
If there's a lot of Republican legislatures...
No, I'm saying if you want to make a
what
revolution... No, Hillary's not talking about making a revolution. Bernie
Right,
is, and
but-
her supporters. If you want to make a revolution, you've got to bubble it up. You've got to take school boards. You've got to take legislatures. You've got to have something behind
So
you.
we should not vote for a presidential candidate until like all the state legislatures are in line.
No, of course not.
The
I didn't
governors
say...
are in line.
I did not say that. I did not say that. I did not
You
say
didn't
that.
say that, but that's the necessary. I don't
No,
know. That argument
no,
makes
you
absolutely no
can't.
sense
It doesn't
whatsoever.
happen top down. It's a slog. You can't just. I mean, it's gotta. I love that everybody's waking up to this, but how about long term strategic thinking here about if you want this revolution, okay, here's what we do. We start running ourselves. We get ourselves in. We change the nature of what is being brought up, what is being...
Like an argument to do both, not to do one doesn't exclude the other.
Okay, fine. All right. Right. But I got to tell you, I don't see that fervor for doing the less,
So right.
exciting
No,
work.
I mean, how much stuff have you heard about the Pennsylvania? Who's running for Pennsylvania legislature? There was somebody popped up on my Facebook. I had no idea who she was.
She called my
Never
show
heard
the
her
other.
name.
She heard called my show the other day.
That's
It's a young
possibly
woman
that.
in the middle of the state, I believe, and
No, it was somebody from Allegheny County, but I.
oh,
But
okay,
she may already be in the legislature. I just never had heard her name. Jennifer Wolf.
no,
Yeah. So how would you? I agree with you. I mean, I would agree that you have to do both, but I wouldn't say like I wouldn't vote
Okay,
for Bernie.
but I'm
because
just saying,
there's a Republican legislature in Pennsylvania.
okay,
That
but
doesn't make
even
any
if
sense.
he were,
That's an argument put out. I mean, I think that's a Hillary put out argument, which
It
I
doesn't-
don't disagree with. But it doesn't make. That's not a reason to not vote for Bernie right now. That's a reason to do more. It's not a reason to do less.
yeah, but you look at, okay, think of when, to me, this sort of like the first sign I saw of young people waking up, I saw your time is, was Occupy Wall Street, right?
Yeah,
Remember that,
exactly.
right?
So,
and
yeah,
then
not-
that
you
was
haven't heard-
viewed, no, and that was viewed as, so what did that do? That didn't do anything. Bullshit. That did plenty. It got that subject, the inequality and the sort of runaway capitalism. It got it into the discussion. Bernie
I think that's
built
why
off
he's a
of that,
candidate right now.
huh?
Yeah, that's why he's a candidate right now.
Yeah. I agree. But we need more. Democrats need to pay attention to local level politics, state politics, and there has to be evolution before you're going to have a successful revolution.
I mean, as far as Pennsylvania goes, it's been the usual, I would say 100% silence about the state legislature.
I agree.
I mean, there was a big...
We pay
tick
no
around
attention.
Around the Supreme Court last fall, in the last week before the election.
Yeah.
And then, all right, the show's
Okay.
probably over.
Yes,
Bye.
it is. Thank
I
you.
think we agree. I just wouldn't
Okay.
say we
Okay.
exclusive.
It's not either
All right.
or. Okay.
All right.
Bye. Okay. Henry writes, the online form for changing your party affiliation is a lengthy 13-step form. Thank you, Pennsylvania. You always know how to make things hard. The website is PA Voter Services. www.pavoterservices.state.pa.us. Think about it. You got a week. Okay? Have a great day. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.